The year is 1968. We are time-traveling movie producers sent back for the fixing of the planet of the apes. Cue the intro. Hey everybody, welcome to the Mirror Movie Universe podcast. I'm Dan. I'm here joined by my brother Nate.
One
Nate,
half of the hosts of the shindig of a show across the island, across the country, for me is the person who's already introduced himself. Hello, Dan.
hey, yeah, that's right. You're so much better at that than me. How did I forget? Uh, we're tackling the Planet of the Apes this time. What are we
Yep.
doing? Like, this is a
The,
classic. This is
it is
everybody
it is a
loves it.
classic, and it goes down in the list of movies that you loved as a kid, you love as a concept of sci-fi, and you unabashedly adore, but you will never show your girlfriend because they're a little bit weird. That's the flavor that we're in for as far as these movies go. We're gonna
Yeah.
do a few of them, not all of them, because there's like a gajillion now. But you and I, we grew up on Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
Like we would get them from Blockbuster quite a bit.
That's dating
And
us. Yeah.
it's dating us quite a bit.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that I saw Planet of the Apes, you already had, and it was this thing that was hyped up in my mind, like a Star Wars or a Star Trek that I had missed, and that I was being retroactively reintroduced to. So, Planet of the Apes is a big deal in our family, and might not be in yours. I mean, like out there in listener land, it's not that huge of a franchise, or at least it wasn't until they rebooted it, and the
Yeah.
originals are like lost to time now.
Yeah. Especially like
And
when you get to that fourth, fifth sequel. Like, I
yeah,
think the
we'll
original is
get
just
there.
such a classic, but
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And we like it very much. But in order to talk about what we like about the Planet of the Apes and what we would fix about Planet of the Apes, we have to talk about what happens in Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes is really hard to pronounce. I'm going to have to do that over and over and across this
Yes,
entire
you
thing.
are.
So, it's the future, and there are four astronauts flying through space to this other star in the cosmos, and they are explorers. And there's one of them who's still awake and not in hypersleep, and his name is Taylor, and he's just like a cigar smoking, like he's like, I'm Charlton Heston. He's played by Charlton Heston. He's like, I'm Charlton Heston. I'm wondering if you know back on Earth there are still wars and all, and people hate each other and all these things, or if we've reached enlightenment and all that kind of stuff. And he goes to sleep after this little monologue piece to camera with his buddies. They crash land on this planet, and all wake up at once, except for the fourth one, who's the only woman on the trip, and she's dead. She's been dead for a while. They spent hundreds of years in hypersleep in this thing, and she somehow like aged and died in her sleep. So it's Taylor, played by Charlton Heston, and a couple of other guys, and they swim out of the spaceship that's sunk into a lake that they've crashed into, and they get to shore and have a brief conversation. They're like, oh, we got to find life, like we got to find life on this desert planet because it's just like this little lake and a bunch of desert and maybe an ocean somewhere else. And they're like, why do you want to find life? And one of them's like, I want to do it for science. And the other one's like, I want to do it for fame. And Taylor, our main dude, is like, humans just suck. They're the worst. I'm just gonna there has to be something out there that's better than humans. There has to be. And he does this little piece to camera with it. So they're like, oh, that's weird. This guy's a jerk. And they keep walking. And they eventually come across some strange things. They come across a little plant. So there is life on this planet. They come across some scarecrows that are obviously made by intelligent life, which is a big deal. And they come across like an oasis, and they've been in hypersleep for like a couple hundred years. They throw off their spacesuits and they go for a swim. And when the swim is done, their spacesuits are gone. So something has taken them. Something has taken their suits, and they go off to run after these creatures in the jungle. They find a bunch of humans who are seemingly not intelligent and also mute. And these, humans are, just running around in a field eating vegetables and all of this kind of stuff. And the other two guys are like, this is fascinating. And Taylor, our main guy, is like, you know what? We could become their conquerors. We're like super intelligent. We could rule this whole civilization. But before he gets a chance to finish his thought, there's a whole like blaring of horns, and these horses start riding in, and the humans are hunted by, turns out, apes who are wearing real clothes and not just tattered rags like the humans. They have guns, they have horses, and they catch these humans in nets. Taylor is separated from his other two buddies. He's shot in the neck and captured, and he's put into a cage in essentially a research zoo. And he's, because he was shot in the neck, he cannot speak. He tries to several times, but he can't. He gets put into a cage in the zoo, and these sympathetic apes, amongst, most of them seem to be evil because they're killing humans. There are a couple of sympathetic ones. It's a husband and wife team named Dr. Cornelius and Dr. Zira. Cornelius is the guy and Zira is the girl. And they start to study this Taylor guy. They call him Bright Eyes, and they, like poke and prod him and all of this kind of stuff. Eventually, after several attempts to communicate, he writes on a little piece of paper, "My name is Taylor." And they freak out and they're like, "Oh, he can communicate." And they bring him to like this ape leader named Dr. Zaius, who's an orangutan and not a chimpanzee like a lot of the rest of them. And they're like, "Oh, this guy can write." And he's like, "Nonsense, humans can't write." And he makes a paper airplane, and he's like, "Oh, it's just a toy." Like, he's just dismissing the idea that a human could have intelligence to do this. And throughout this process, Taylor meets another human who is mute, named, or that he names Nova, and they sort of get caged up together. There's an escape attempt. He's recaptured. And during the recapturing, he notices that one of his buddies from the spaceship, one of the other astronauts, has been stuffed in a museum like an ape would be today, right? So that's one human dead, right? And so Taylor gets captured after an escape attempt in a net. And the first time he speaks, the apes, have caught him in this net, and he goes, "Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape." And it's a big, dramatic moment in the movie. They study him further. They think that he's some kind of hoax or something like that because they don't believe in evolution. It's a big old allegory for, anti-science stuff in the 60s. And eventually he, starts asking around about his other astronaut buddy, who I think his name is Landon. He's like, "Oh, what happened to this guy?" Because he's the only other intelligent human who's lived. And turns out that they've done a lobotomy on him, and they cut up his brain and all of this kind of stuff. So he's the only intelligent human left. And so it's just him and Nova and these two sympathetic apes against the world. And they help him to escape. And he runs away with Nova, he runs away to this desert land that he crossed to get to this, ape civilization called the Forbidden Zone. He runs through the Forbidden Zone. The apes chase him through the Forbidden Zone. And he eventually ends up on this beach with him, Nova, the two sympathetic chimpanzees, Cornelius and Zira. Dr. Zaius is there too. He's the orangutan we mentioned earlier. And they all find this old archaeological dig with maybe some remnants of an old human civilization that predated these apes. And there's like a doll that says "Mama" and like a pair of glasses and a heart valve or something like that, an artificial heart valve. And, maybe some inklings of there being, humans before these apes that evolved into these apes. And there's a big old shootout on the beach by the cliffs, and Taylor and Nova eventually escape. The last bit of the movie is Taylor arrives at this thing on the beach, and you don't see what he's seeing at this moment. And he gets down off of his horse, and Nova is just looking on in confusion. And Charlton Heston, playing Taylor, starts pounding his fist into the sand, and he's like, "You maniacs, you blew it up. Oh, damn you all to hell." And it's a really, emotional moment. And the camera pans back, and it's the Statue of Liberty half sunk into the sand. And you realize that the Earth is where they have landed. They've come back to Earth. It's 1,000 years in the future. Humanity has destroyed itself, and the apes now control the world. And what Taylor has just escaped, perhaps only for a moment, is this ape civilization that has taken over after nuclear war has devastated the planet. That's Planet of the Apes in a nutshell. Dan, lots to like about it.
So
What do you like
much.
about What do you like about Planet of the Apes?
First of all, I think that like so we've said this 1,000 times. Good science fiction is entertaining. It also makes you think, and the themes in this are really, really great. Right? You mentioned some of them with, kind of the science versus religion that we see play out in
Mhm.
this. The apes have their kind of pseudo religion that they follow. That Dr. Zaius is always quoting and everything. Then you also have these themes of like how we're treating animals, basically, because that's all turned on its head. Now humans are treated as animals were in this thing. And then, of
Mhm.
course, the ultimate theme, are we destined for annihilation, basically?
Yeah,
Which is so heavy, but it's so well done.
yeah.
Um, what are we gonna do? And this is made in the height of the Cold War, so of course, like
1968, right? It's a very
huge. Yeah.
tumultuous year, not just the Cold War. I mean, that was a very chaotic year for possible annihilation. And it plays on that excellently.
Oh, absolutely. Like top of everyone's mind. Does a really good job of what will the future hold and everything. Really well done. Charlton Heston especially like is so good at chewing the scenery and everything. The ape costume things hold up really well, surprisingly. Because it could have been just like schlocky B movie like crap, and it wasn't. Like it was like the costumes are really well done. The Academy Awards gave an Academy Award to the costume, to the makeup person who did all of that. There was no makeup category. They were just like, you did this so well. You should have this. And that's really, really great.
Mhm.
But out of everything, the twist. I mean, there's a reason that we talk about the twist with the Statue of Liberty and everything. It is amazing. So well done. So this movie, based on a book, the twist is not in the book. So when they wanted to adapt it, they went to Rod Sterling, Twilight
Oh,
Zone
it's
guy,
Twilight Zone. Yeah.
and he was like, "Yeah, I'll take a pass at it." Turned in his draft, which had the twist ending in it, and then they were like, "This is going to cost too much money," and they give it to Michael Wilson to write, who had previously adapted Bridge Over the River Kwai from this author. Um, anyway, that twist from Rod Sterling stays in, and it's what makes this movie so memorable. And so
Yeah.
it's like probably top 10 twists in cinema history to this day.
Mhm. Oh,
Really,
yeah.
really amazing.
I know that I've said the twist thus far, but
Yeah.
me saying it doesn't really do it justice. The performance, the build up, just watch the last 10 minutes of this film. It's worth it, honestly.
And
It's great.
you don't see it coming. Like genuinely, you don't see it coming because they
Well,
do such a good job
mm,
of presenting it so that you don't even it doesn't even dawn on you that it's Earth. It's a distant planet. It's a planet of the apes. How could it be Earth? Even with the doll, when it's talking, Dr. Zaius
mm,
is there to be like, well, that's just a toy. Who knows? Like, he's very dismissive of it. So the audience is like, oh, but you still don't think like maybe it's Earth, right? And so
hard
totally comes
disagree,
out of left
but
field.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that in my fix. All right.
Okay.
But yeah, is that all that you like about the film though?
That's it. That's it. What about you? What do you love about the Planet of the Apes?
So, I mean, you touched on a lot of it. Charlton Heston is great. The makeup effects are fantastic. I remember getting a magazine from a friend, like one of my friends in grade school when I was like 10, gave me a copy of a sci-fi magazine from 1976 that was about Star Wars, right? It was about this upcoming movie called Star Wars. It was from December of 76, I think. But most of the magazine was about the makeup effects in Planet of the Apes, which was eight
Ah,
years old at that point. And they had articles about the makeup artists and all this kind of stuff. So like it obviously had a huge effect on the industry. And the standard of quality went up for all of sci-fi because of this thing, which I love. Um, the science versus religion stuff, the only thing that I'll mention is that in a scene of the movie, there are three orangutans sitting next to each other, like during Taylor's trial, and they're in the position of speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil, which is like pretty fun. But mostly, I like that Taylor's a jerk. he's our main character in this whole movie. And when the other characters are like, "Oh, I'm doing this for science or fame," he's like, "Ah, humans suck. I want to find life because like there's got to be something better than this, right?" Um, and throughout the rest of the movie, like he doesn't have an arc. Um, and you might look at that and say, "Oh, that makes it less of a story." I like that. I like that the lens through which we view this future, bleak future, is just like of a cynic.
Mhm.
Um, that's the main thing for me, is that the way it's presented is through this specific guy. He's the only one of his crew that lives, and it just happens to be the least redeemable one of the four.
Mhm.
And the change in the world is viewed through his eyes. I like that as an adult. Um, and just the last thing I'll say is that the whole thing is terrifying. When I was 10 and watching this thing, when the apes show up for the first time, I was legitimately scared out of my mind. Like I'm not easily scared by a lot of stuff, but like the whole concept of being stuffed in a museum was like, woo,
Oh
like
yeah,
that was,
it's very scary. Yeah.
yeah, um, excellently fixed. But you can't like everything about it. Dan, what would you fix about Planet of the Apes?
So as good as the twist of Planet of the Apes is, I don't think it holds up upon rewatch or scrutiny, really, at all. And my fix is to which is going to be very hard to do, to try to lay some breadcrumbs that lead you there without giving it away. Because it makes no sense that they're trying to go to an alien planet, a distant sun, in hypersleep, and they somehow wind up back on Earth. It makes no sense. Like none. Absolutely none. Uh, there's no explanation is ever given. Nothing is ever touched on for it. It's just like, oh yeah, we were gonna go to this distant place, and then oh, it's Earth. It's like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. How did that happen? And it
Mhm.
makes the twist really come out of like left field. Maybe you disagree, but I love the twist, but I'm not getting anything. Like as soon as I start to think about it, it just kind of falls apart. So what I want to do is add in a scene at the beginning when Charlton Heston's chomping on his cigar or something, and have the computer say something to the effect of, um, or have him say something, or the computer say something to the effect of, if we don't find life, we return home. That's all. Just like it's on a million year thing, their computer is sweeping for signs of life, whatever, and if they don't
Mhm.
find it, they come home. And that's it. Just a little breadcrumb so that you think, oh, they don't know that they're coming home, but they've swept everywhere else in the galaxy or whatever, and they haven't found it. Which also sets it up really nicely that this is all there is. Charlton Heston, you cynical man, you. This is it. It's only
Mhm.
humans and apes, and that's it. There's nothing better.
Yeah.
That's my fix.
So hard disagree. I agree that the science is bunk. Like if you talk about four-dimensional spatial manifolds and all of this, I'm a scientist, by the way. If you talk about four-dimensional spatial manifolds and all this kind of stuff, you can, posit that space is curved and that eventually, if you go in one direction, you may end up at Earth. But the distances involved are larger than the observable universe. And they say early on that it's only like 320 light years is their target, right? And so they're just like playing fast and loose with relativity. So it does not make sense that they end up back at Earth. I agree, unless they encounter some kind of wormhole or time rift, like, you know, some magic basically happens that causes them to end up there.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the twist is underdone. I think that it's overdone. And I think if you lay
Really?
more breadcrumbs, yeah, I think if you lay more breadcrumbs, it actually plays with it in a way that does not service the film. It services the narrative and the story and it makes more sense, but the film suffers as an artistic object with it, within its own narrative. And the reason that I say this is that my fix is to remove the only breadcrumb that exists because they study that cave. at the beach before they see the Statue of Liberty, and they find the doll that says "Mama," and they find some, I think, eyeglasses and an artificial heart valve. That gives it away too early. And when
Hmm.
you see the Statue of Liberty, it's like, oh yeah, sure, it's Earth, like whatever. I think that you should remove some of the early detail so that it's more of a surprise at the end. Because when I was a kid, I figured it out at the cave. I was like, oh, it's Earth. That's whatever. But the movie's not made that way. It's made for you to realize it at the Statue of Liberty. So I am in the complete opposite direction. Remove detail. If you want to add your scene about the computer saying, oh, like turn around if we don't find life or so, yeah, that works. That works. That doesn't quite give it away. But if you add your scene, you also have to do my fix, which is reshoot or remove the cave scene because it gives it away too early. And the punch of the Statue of Liberty half sunk into the sand, it's blown like 20 minutes before it happens. And it ain't worth it. You know? That's what I think.
I see. I
Um,
think that the cave doesn't give it away too early. I think that like when they're questioning everything, Dr. Zaius has an answer until the doll talks. And then he's just like, he's a little bit stumped, but you get that like hope, like, could it be Earth? Could it be? I don't know. There's still that I don't know moment there, until you see the Statue of Liberty, and then it's this is Earth.
Maybe it's because you and I grew up, like you had told me about this movie before I saw it. And
Hmm.
because of that, I knew that it was, maybe I had an inkling that it was Earth. And so I had a couple of breadcrumbs laid for me, and I want less. And because you yourself laid those breadcrumbs, you wanted to give me more. And that's why we've chosen the fixes that we did. But complete opposite directions here.
Yeah.
Complete opposite directions. Um,
Well, we both agree that the fix has to do with the reveal. Like that's the only tweak to make to this, which is insane because it's the most memorable bit of the whole movie. But
Yeah. Just, I think give it more punch. And you're saying that you're not saying give it less punch. You're saying, I don't know, develop it more almost.
hmm give me a
Do you think that,
reason to think. I mean, like Rod Sterling came up with it, right? And he's very good at the like in Twilight Zone, you only have 15 minutes. So you don't explain stuff. If he's like, oh,
Mhm.
all the evil people are gonna be 4 feet tall at 4 o'clock today, then all the evil people are going to be 4 feet tall at 4 o'clock today. And that's it. And there's
Sure.
no explanation given. It's 15 minutes. There's no time for it. But here you have a whole movie, and I just want a little bit of explanation as to how they got to Earth.
I think,
Makes no sense.
sure. If you lay that in a little bit, all I'm saying, you can put breadcrumbs in. I'm saying that the breadcrumbs that are already in the movie are a little bit too heavy. They're a
Hmm.
little bit, they give it away too early. So you could add something like the computer telling him that if, they can turn around or something like that. That lays the groundwork. It does not seem consequential at the beginning of the film. Then don't mention it for 2 hours and
Yeah.
come back at the end. I'm saying that finding the doll 20 minutes before the Statue of Liberty, 10 minutes before the Statue of Liberty, it it softens the blow that should have hit me like a ton of bricks. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could pull off both of our fixes and make it a better movie, but you cannot pull off one of them and make it a better movie. You know what I mean?
I do.
I yeah. Yeah, I think it's too obvious with yours and it's a little bit too removed with mine. But if you lay the breadcrumbs and just don't do the doll thing, it makes the Statue of Liberty pay off way better in a subtle way that frankly subtlety's out the window from here on out to the end of the Planet of the Apes franchise. There's no saving it from
Oh, yeah.
from obviousness for the
Yeah.
rest of time. But that's for another episode.
It is indeed. Speaking of, if you subscribe, you won't miss our next episode because we're going to do Beneath the Planet of the Apes next. And like, of course, if you like it and all that stuff. Comment. Which one of us got it right? Should we not do the fix at all? Do you want to fix something else with it? Do you think it's a perfect film and we're insane? Whatever it is, write it down below. Because we'd like to hear from you. What do you think needs to be changed about Planet of the Apes? Or should it be, It's just perfect. Put it under museum glass. Don't touch it. Whatever.
Exactly.
Please write it down below.
Yeah, exactly. And in the meantime, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time for the next episode.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great one. God bless.